Hello and welcome to a new Let's Play at long last. This is kind of annoying. Can I do something about that? Hang on a moment. This isn't gonna... Yep, it's not gonna interrupt that. Good. Can I now do that? Yeah. Do that. Because the record thing was in the way of the screen. There we go. Much better. Well, this is a weird screen. Welcome to Let's Play Saya no Uta, aka Song of Saya. So, trippy. Finally got around to buying it. And, before we start, we're gonna get back around here and check the comments. I'm surprised. My update video has 38 views. How? My main channel, Blue Skull Dragon 87. Man, I'd never get that kind of views on any video. These days anyway. My old videos, obviously because of how many years it's been and all that, they gather up views over time, but 38 views in less than a month. Anyways, going with Saya no Uta because the two comments, I didn't end up making a poll because there were two comments that were both in favor of Saya no Uta. But along with Saya no Uta, one was also in favor of Kano Shoujo, so maybe that'll be next, I don't know, but honestly I feel like after this it's probably gonna be like, oh man, there's a bit too much horror, man. What else was there? There were some recommendations from this one commenter. Fruit of Grisaya, whatever the pronunciation is. I think I've heard of that one, but I don't know anything about it at the same time. Magikoe or whatever. I think I might have heard of that one, but again, don't know. Then it's Zakaba 1 and 3. Everlasting Summer, I don't think I've heard of that one. Doki Doki Literature Club, I know of that one. I know of the plot twist in that one, but I've never played it. Kinda interested in checking that one out. And the other commenter seemed interested in Little Busters, so... Seems like Umineko, out of the four that were on the list for which one to Let's Play, seemed to get the shaft in that, I guess. It's apparently pretty involving, according to this commenter. It's probably messed up and chaotic, I'd imagine. And Saya no Uta is apparently short as well. Also, the comment mentioning how Kano Shoujo is notoriously difficult because of how easy it is to die in that. It's been years since I, played through Kano Shoujo, but it's true, man. It's like, Friday the 13th, if you have sex in that story, you're probably going to die. And that happens quite a lot. You've got to really pick the right locations in that. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with this. So, how many CGs we looking at here? Quite a few. I did briefly go over the Steam page. Get a bit of a general idea of what I'll be expecting. Lovecraftian horror, I knew that much. Because I'm just gonna, say it. I know what the big plot twist is. That's literally all I know about this. But you know what? I also knew the same when I first played Persona 3. I knew how the ending was. To an extent, I knew what was going to happen at the end. Well, one bit of what was happening at the end. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it, and there were loads of twists and turns I was not expecting, so... Be likely the same here, but... From just going through the Steam page and looking at some of the reviews, I'm like, oh god, what am I getting myself into with this? This has got to be horrifying, isn't it? So does it have voice acting? I think I remember... Yep, it does have voice acting.
Saya no Uta. それは世界を侵す恋。Saya no Uta.
You only get 2 lines. I wonder how much I'm going to get to read if it's going to be like that. I assume that the characters are going to be voice acted, which is Because, like, what I looked, it has a similar look to Higurashi in a way. You know, traditional visual novels will have, like, say, like a text bar down here, you know, and then everything else in the middle. It's like Higurashi, where it's like it goes down the screen with the text, but this one seems to have voice acting. And yeah, one said there was no voice acting, and one said there is, so I guess the one that said there is voice acting is right. Let's finally get on with it. So it's a work of fiction, and the conditions described here are imaginary and do not reflect actual medical practice. It's like, just in case you think this is a true story. Work of fiction contains grotesque images that may disturb some viewers. Please select how you would like such images to be displayed. What? Do not modify, which is the default. Obscure, low brightness. Obscure focus and low brightness. Man, this must have some really messed up imagery for it to be like, hey, it gets pretty grotesque. I mean, just on the Steam page, like, yeah, it looks a bit gory. I hope I don't regret this. What a way to begin! So is it saying, hey, the wriggling mass of flesh burbles? Free? Excuse me, I can't hear you, flesh burble. Can you translate that? Three such creatures sit around the table in front of me, slurping filthy sludge from their cups as they trade wines. Growls and sounds that I cannot describe. Also should note that, you know, this novel has those kind of scenes, if you get my drift, but Steam version has had them edited out, obviously. So, that makes things easier for me, because... But at the same time, as I was browsing the reviews a bit, most of them just joke reviews, as is typical with Steam. But, you know, one pointed out, like, how Steam edited out that and there's a patch for it if you want to put it back in, you know, those scenes. But the thing that caught my interest on that was, like, a mention of you missing out on the lore without that. And I'm like, it's not one of those ones like, you know, Shuffle. You see my Shuffle Let's Play? There was one character route where, you know, there was kind of a plot development character-wise during one of those scenes, and it made it very awkward. Because it's like, well, I can't show that scene, but I have to have it on in the background and translate it because it's plot relevant. It's like, damn it, why do you do that? You know, I wonder, you know, actually, let's have a look, see here. Here? Oh man, there's just so much information on screen here that I'm like, where's the language? I don't think, is it? No, it doesn't seem to have a language option. Is it somewhere else? I mean, it did say, you know, languages, English, Japanese, and simplified Chinese, so I'd imagine there would be an option to change. I mean, I'm only saying this because I want to see how that actually look in Japanese. But it doesn't look like there's an option to switch it here. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, This is looking like Corpse Party a bit. The quite underwhelming sequel. What was it called? It was the one that was on the PS Vita. I can't remember what it's called. But the school looked a lot like that towards the end of that game. By listening carefully, I'm able to grasp the gist of their conversation and respond when it is required of me. It's necessary to avoid arousing their suspicion. And I wonder if you two would be like, hey now man, got sense of this. It's like, it's not just nudity, this is too grotesque for YouTube. However, these creatures look, they are my friends. Apparently. What? These creatures, they are my friends. Wait, why does it say however these creatures look? Oh wait, I see. It's like, now however they may look, they are my friends. Apparently. Mr. Protagonist. I wish that I could still deny it, but I gave up on that a long time ago. Night after night I went to sleep praying for an end to this nightmare, only to wake each morning to the same twisted hellscape as the day before. I know now that I have to blend in, that I have to act like one of them. Such has been my life these past 3 months, and so it will remain until the day I die. Judging by its tone, this one must be Koji, and when next to him is squealing more than the others, it's probably Omi. I did look through like the characters as well. I think Koji is his best friend. Omi, I think, might be Koji's girlfriend. I mean, you know, they look like normal people, but it seems he cannot see them as normal people. Which means that the one next to me is Yo, and though I cannot no longer see any trace of her once attractive features, I try my best to ignore the rotten stench of excrement that issues from her quivering flesh. Wait, so it's not just that he sees everything as this kind of fleshy blob world, it also smells like a sewer. That doesn't sound pleasant. Jesus Christ, man. It's just like, just picture myself in this guy's place. That would be horrible. This is how you perceive the entire world around you. I'd be like, you know what? No. I mean, I imagine this isn't gonna be how the whole story plays out. We're probably, I don't know, maybe get shifted in perspective. I don't know, because they do have character portraits. So I assume there's gonna be points where we will actually, you know, be able to see what they're actually saying. Everything has changed. Or almost everything. By some cruel trick of fate, my relationship to the world alone remains the same. As if an insane architect took the blueprints of my life and rebuilt it out of blood and gore. These monsters and I were part of the same college club. We studied together, ate together, we even went skiing together every winter break. Imagine skiing when the world looks like this to you. I mean, holy crap. Now these are but painful memories of days that will never return. If only no one recognized me, I might have been able to disconnect myself from the world. It would have been comforting, in comparison, to believe that I had been abducted by aliens, or that I stumbled through a gateway to hell. But no, this is beyond doubt the city where I was born and raised, the society that I was part of for 20 years. Save that I alone, can no longer see it that way. The world as I knew it is gone. I have no place to call home. Anyway, I can tell that whatever they're discussing is of no importance to me. I thought I'd keep quiet and pretend to listen. I mean, what an introduction. But just then... one of the flesh beasts says as it swivels its bloodshot eyes towards me. I tried desperately to suppress my loathing and behave normally, but my hoarse voice ruins the attempt. How come I can suddenly understand them? The slimy hole near the top of the creature arrives noticeably as it vomits some semblance of words. That must be Koji's face, or what I would have seen as such 3 months ago. Unable to stomach the sight of it, I avert my eyes and gave a neutral answer. You know, can you imagine what it must be like for the voice actors? Like, okay, so we're gonna have you voice these lines, then we're gonna like jumble your voice acting so you can't barely understand what you're saying. It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's...
These were my closest companions. One of them had even wished to be more. How many nights have I spent crying in loneliness, lamenting the friends who no longer exist? 3 months my tears ran dry, and now there is only loathing left in me, surrounded by hideous creatures that I can only assume are Koji, Omi, and Yo. I spend each day trying to act as I always have. If I fail at this, I will surely be sent back to the hospital. I mean, really, at this kind of point, I don't think he's really got a chance of leading a normal life, you know, in this kind of condition. Only this time I'll be locked away forever. No matter what, I won't let that happen. I mean, seriously, if someone sees the entire world like this, I think, you know, just leaving them to their own devices seems like a bad idea.
どうだろうな。今日の診療で先生に聞いてみる。
That's it. I can't look at them or bear their screeching any longer. I jump to my feet, desperate to escape. A spray of dingy slime from the really around edge voice box flies at me. I tried to cover myself, but too late. Still got a cough, by the way. But too late to keep the slime from splattering across my face like the yolk of a rotten egg. I'm about to lose it. And to grab a chair, desk, anything in reach, and use it to smash the life out of this creature. End it all. Well, that just shows you shouldn't, you know, be free to do whatever the hell you want, because this, you know, very bad idea. I barely suppressed the impulse. I mustn't let on that something is wrong. Look, to me, this is their world. I'm the outsider here.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Struggling to put on a smile, I reach into my wallet, pull out the first bill I find, and put it on the table without even looking at it. I don't care about the change, I just need to get out of here. Now.
それじゃあ。
I mutter hastily and flee the cafeteria. Now, one other comparison would be like Silent Hill, I guess, but I mean, I don't think even Silent Hills were ever really this gory. I'm not crazy. You just see everything in a crazy way.
ねえねえ、今度のスキーだけどさ、今年はどっかスケートも遊べるところにしない？
Is this the same scene, but from their perspective, where everything is, you know, normal as should be? Tsukuba Yo frowns at the
ス
suggestion.
ケート？わざわざスキー場にまで行ってスケート？
勘弁してやってくれよ、つくば。こいつ今そっちにハマってんだ。
Sono Koji supports Omi with a laugh. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new, and it's Koji's role as her boyfriend to provide backup. They're a good match for each other, Yo thinks. Sometimes it makes her jealous.
なんせオウミってさ、
Oh,
この前この年になって初めてスケートやったんだ。
so we changed to a different character's perspective.
何よ、スケートしたことなかったのがそんなに不思議
？20歳になって初体験ってのは興味そうそういないんじゃないかな。
子供の頃はなんとなく怖かったのよ。 あの靴、なんだか刃物みたいでさ。でも、いきなりやって滑れたの？大見ちゃん、すごくない？
容量はスキーとそう変わるもんじゃないからな。重心を前に出して靴の前のヘリでコントロールする感覚とか。
コウジにそう言われたもんだからさ、騙されたと思ってやってみたわけよ。そうしたらもう楽しくって。
So it was a date. Yo feels a stab of envy. So this is Yo, I assume? Koji and Omi enjoy their time together as normal lovers do. That's certainly not something that should make her jealous. It's just that her luck in love has been bad.
私も見てみたいな。大見ちゃんがスケートやるところ。
Yo keeps her voice upbeat, trying to cover up her disquiet. She knows that it's wrong to envy her friends. She too would be spending time with a man she admires, if not for the terrible tragedy that befell him. His is true misfortune. Her bad luck doesn't begin to compare. They're referring to the protagonist whose name I've already forgotten, Fuji whatever. Yeah, say that doesn't begin to compare is a huge understatement.
だからさ、ね、今度のスキー旅行、ついでにスケート旅行にしちゃえば2倍美味しく楽しいってわけよ。
You know, already this art style is already standing out to me as different from, you know, the usual visual novel. Does it have the same thing? Yeah, you can press spacebar to do that. I don't know, it kinda reminds me of Higurashi a bit, but not quite at the same time. Something else it reminds me of. I have no idea what it was called. I think there was one visual novel that had a kind of similar look to it with the character art.
でもさ、スケートはスケートリンクに行けばできるじゃない。わざわざスキー場に行ってまでやる？
You know, I know I keep interrupting the story here, but you know, one thing I'm like now just realizing is, so finally, unless for whatever reason they somehow managed to fit it into this story, which would be very surprising, so we're finally gonna have a story that doesn't take place in a freaking school for once. It's like, you know, even Kano Shoujo, right? It's like, well, for example, Katagra is the first one in the series. Kano Shoujo is the sequel to that. That kind of goes off on its own into a different thing. Kano Shoujo 2 is a sequel to that with its own thing going on as well. The point is, even those have, you know, a school setting. It's like you play as like a 30-year-old detective. I don't know how old the protagonist in the first one was, but, you know, it's like the majority of Katagra. No school, really. There is, like, to an extent, but it's more in the background, you don't really see much of it. But then you do if you go down one character's route. It's like, why do you always have to find a way to fit a freaking school into these goddamn novels? Can't we just go one damn visual novel without going to a school?
だから屋内じゃなくてさ、屋外スケート、凍った湖とかで滑れるところ。そんな都合のいいとこあるかな。なんだかすごく混んでそう。
While speaking, Yo sneaks a sideway glance at the young man sitting next to her. Though the conversation has involved only 3 people so far, there are in fact 2 couples at the cafeteria table. Yo's boyfriend, though, there's still some doubts over whether he could be called that. He's beside her, as silent and expressionless as a statue.
なあ、Fuminori。お前はどう思う？
Perhaps Koji sensed Yo's pain in his usual quiet and considerate way.
どうって。
So yeah, this is the same scene, but how it actually looks. So what kind of accent did he end up in to get such a horrifying, whatever the hell he has? I mean, he did say at the start, it's like, you know, how it's like fictional when it comes to, it's like, oh, this isn't representative of actual medical things. Cause of Yo's distress, Sagizaka Fuminori responds to Koji's sudden query with a vague, mumbled question of his own.
いや、だからさ、今年の冬のスキーだよ。お前も行くよな。
Koji speaks gingerly as though probing a tumor. It's kind of a funny way to say that because, I mean, he looks at the way he views them, they look like tumors. Blobby tumors. A few months ago, he would not have hesitated to rebuke Fuminori for his attitude. A long acquaintance had forged a strong and honest friendship. But
わ
now,
からない。
Fuminori responds bluntly, his downcast eyes and sullen demeanor making it clear that he has no desire to break his silence.
何か他の予定でもあるのか？
いや、別に。
Even Koji, Fuminori's best friend, cannot communicate with him as before. What hope does Yo have of breaking through his shell? Scars left by the events of that late summer day are still deep all these months later. Each one of the four bears them, not only Fuminori. Well, he bears the worst of it, obviously.
なあ、別に運動するのが傷に触るとかそういうわけでもないんだろ？
どうだろうな。今日の診療で先生に聞いてみる。
As though the answer drained the last of his patience, Fuminori bolts out of his chair.
おい、Fuminori!
Even Koji can't keep his voice from raising as he tries to stomp Fuminori out from leaving. Fuminori reacts swiftly, throwing his hand over his face as though to shield himself from something terrifying. Maybe some spit flew inadvertently from Koji's mouth, but that happens sometimes. Fuminori's reaction is beyond the pale. Well, because you look like some giant blob of goo.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Fuminori snaps, making no attempt to relieve the discomfort of his friends. It always says he snaps and makes it sound like his more intense reaction, but he's just like, oh, piss off, I don't want to, I'm out of here. Even as he tosses money on the table to pay for his coffee, he acts like he's touching something filthy.
それじゃあ。
Fuminori stalks out of the cafeteria almost as if he's running away. Cloaked in heavy silence, the remaining three lower their gaze to the table where the abandoned 10,000 yen bill stays for while only Fuminori's coffee is untouched. Did his coffee also look like gore? You know what? I don't know when I'll actually start uploading this Let's Play. Uploaded Digimon World Next Order yesterday. It's like, what are you talking about? On my main channel now, I have a schedule where it's like Rune Factory Oceans, next day, no upload, next day, Digimon World Next Order. And the reason I'm doing that is because, like, there's a day off in between, and I think for, like, uploading the first part of this would be the day after Digimon World Next Order, because that's how it was with the Higurashi Let's Play when it was still ongoing last year. So I'll do that again. So that would mean upload this today, but I don't want to, so it'll be a couple of days from now, I guess. Then I'll upload the first part of this. Just thought I'd randomly mention that.
やってられないわね。もう。
Oh man, I need to breathe more. This freaking, like, I'm not used to reading this much. It's been a couple of months, hasn't it? Ermi says with a sigh, but Koji shakes his head reproachfully. And, you know, still got that annoying kind of cough. It's not acting up as bad right now, but it's still there.
Fuminori にはもう少し時間が必要なんだと思う。
だってもう3ヶ月よ。なんなのよあれ。付き合ってるこっちが変になりそうよ。
So I would say, it's like, oh yeah, it's been 3 months since the Higurashi Let's Play. And I'm like, wait, no it isn't. It's more than that. It was, I think it was November. Was it November when that Let's Play was completed? Could have even been September for all I recall. I'm pretty sure it was November though. It's like I finished it probably in September, but finished uploading in November, so 4 or 5 months. It's like almost half a year ago. Damn, time flies by. Hey, you have a new item in your inventory. I must unlock the first What are they? The trading card things? I also noticed that this doesn't have achievements. So, I mean, I found it odd that Higurashi had achievements because it's just reading. There are literally no choices. Like a traditional visual novel, so it hasn't even got any of that additional stuff. But this one, I assume, kind of might do, because apparently there's only one true ending. The other endings are kind of false endings sorts. But it does sound like it's got more than one ending. So I assume there's going to be choices in this. So you'd think maybe achievements for that, but apparently not. I'm obviously just going through this blindly to see what kind of ending I'll get at the end of this, I suppose. Maybe try to get all endings after I've played through it completely a first time. Anyways.
俺だってわからない。わかるはずもないと思う。
Well, you know, I just now noticed what you said. It's like, well, he feels exactly the same way.
お前だって想像つくか？あんなひどい形で家族全員を奪われて、平気でいられるわけないよ。
It could have happened to anyone. It's good that the voice acting continues even though I accidentally skipped through that. Because usually it would cut it off if I do that, you know? So it's nice that it continues. Could have happened to anyone. A tractor trailer flipped over on the highway, crushing the Sakazaka family, going to twisted scrap. Said it had been difficult to tell the bodies of Fuminori's parents apart. Okay, so that was the accident then. For a while it had looked as if there was no hope for Fuminori either. Either it was nothing short of a miracle that he was able to leave the hospital and return to a normal life. I don't think he returned to a normal life. I mean, considering his situation, I'd imagine his mindset was, why couldn't he have died with them? Because, I mean, his existence with, like, his perception of the world now, that's just horrible. Horrible. So horrible that the word horrible doesn't even begin to describe it.
見舞いに行った時なんてもっとひどかったじゃないか。誰が誰かも分からずに怯えて暴れてベッドに縛り付けられて。今はよくあそこまで立ち直ってくれたと思う。
Makes me wonder if he's even, you know, told people how he's perceiving the world, or well he's just keeping it to himself.
それにしたって変よ、咲坂くん。私たちのこと見る目つき、あれ何なの？まるでこっちが人間じゃないみたい。
よせ、近江。
Gochi says forcefully, probably less out of empathy for his friend than out of consideration for you. Well, Koji's kindness makes her happy. You also knows that she mustn't take advantage of it. Now I kind of like these CG kind of, you know, scenes here. It's just them, you know, just chilling out, a cup of coffee, discussing their friends' problems. It's got a very distinct art style that's different, you know. It's nice to see a different art style, you know, every now and then. It's like, you know, the Kono Shoujo series again kind of has a distinctly different art style, you know. Like, you know, I mean, it's right here, the same thing, really. Let me look at his eyes. You know, in anime, you know, you get those big eyes, but, you know, it seems like this one's going for a bit more of a realistic look. I mean, it's obviously, you know, it doesn't look completely realistic, it's definitely, you know, anime styled. But you get what I mean, like the facial proportions or whatever are a bit more realistic than having giant eyes, like it usually would be. Anyways, Koji's bit of kindness makes her happy. Yo also knows that she mustn't take advantage of it. Fuminori is the victim, just as Koji said. He's the one who most deserves sympathy. Yo's feelings for Fuminori are her problem, and no one else's. She doesn't blame Fuminori for not giving her an answer after she worked up the courage to ask him out. In fact, she thinks even more fondly of him for taking the time to consider what she would have had to had he treated their relationship casually. Apparently, the fact that Fuminori did not reject her was enough to make them a couple in Koji and Nomi's eyes. They've had plenty of fun at Yo and Fuminori's expense since. Truth of it, though, is that he still hasn't given her an answer. I mean, was this before the accident or after? If it's after, then, well, I'd say that was a no, probably on his part. It's like, oh yes, accept that, why not? After revealing her feelings to him, Yo didn't see Fuminori again until a week later, and then she could only stare at his broken body through the window of the ICU. Oh, so it probably did happen after the accident. And when he was finally released after 50 days that seemed an eternity, he was somehow different. She's starting to doubt that he even remembers what she confessed to him before the accident. Okay, she did, before the accident. No winter is coming, and her feelings hang forgotten in the cold, lonely air.